It is state championship time in Texas. With Ryan Osborne, I'm Travis Brown of DFWVarsity.com, and we have some state championship games to break down. But first, last week's epic moment was Aledo's 44-14 win over John Tyler, a dominating win over a team that I didn't think you had to beat Aledo last week.
I actually had Aledo winning, but I said you probably had to lean toward Tyler the way they beat McKinney North. But this was a statement win that Aledo, I think, has been looking for all season. It was hard to be too critical of a team that was 13-1 going into last week. But when everything is compared to their record-setting year of 2013, it's hard to live up to that. But watching them on Saturday and then comparing that to what I saw last year, they looked a lot like they did last year as far as being physical up front, being able to run the ball at will. And Luke Bishop was efficient. I think he threw it maybe 7 times, completed 5 passes. They used their weapons on offense. Ryan Newsom had a direct snap touchdown for 27 yards. And then defensively, it was Steve Wood's defense, the head coach who was defensive coordinator last year, really rising to the occasion and stopping a Tyler offense that could hurt you in several ways, throwing the ball, running the ball, all the different weapons they have. And Aledo just shut them down from the get-go. They forced 2 3-and-outs to start the game and then had an interception. And really, Tyler, by the time they even scored a touchdown, it was already, I believe it was 24-7. Or it was 10-7 at one point, then got to 24-7, then 30-7 in the third quarter. And it was just a dominant performance by the Bearcats.
Yeah, that's great. We'll start off with their state championship game, the Class 5A Division I game, which is at noon on Saturday. Of course, all the games are at AT&T Stadium, the home of the Cowboys. But they take a 13-1 Temple team in that state title game. Yeah,
Temple, they had more than 800 total yards last week in their semifinal win over Austin Vandegrift. They're led by quarterback Chad President, who's a Baylor commit, is really one of the most athletic athletic players overall in Class 5A. This is going to present a challenge between two offenses that are really clicking. Temple doing what they could do with the President running the ball and also throwing the ball, and Aledo doing what they could do behind that powerful offensive line. But I think you kind of have to lean towards Aledo because of the way their defense has been playing. There's a lot of points scored in the Temple game last week, and that kind of happens once you get into. Any win in the semifinals is a good win. But I think you point to Aledo's defense, what they're able to do up front. Freshman James Williams at defensive tackle, he has, I think, probably 110 tackles this year from the defensive tackle position in 15 games as a freshman who was 14 years old when he started. That is just insane what he's been able to do getting off of blocks. I think he's really going to cause problems for Temple up from the defensive line. And then in the secondary, Johnny Durham, one of the best cornerbacks in the area, has really been able to be that shutdown guy that forces quarterbacks to the other side of the field. So I think this is Aledo's going to win their 5th state championship in 6 years. Pretty incredible run.
Both teams come into this game with good offensive momentum. Aledo putting up the 44 points, and Temple coming off a 76-point state semifinal performance, which is almost just unheard of. But I lean on the history a little bit to dictate who's going to take this game. You have Temple, who is 2-5 in state title games all time. Aledo, 5-1. I again go with Aledo in this game, leaning on a little bit of that history. They know what to do in those state title games, and that's recent history too.
They're 30-1 in the playoffs since 2009 and 85-6 overall. They've scored 4,500 points in the last 6 seasons. Pretty just remarkable what they've done since going back to the Jonathan Gray days.
Right. Well, we'll move on to the Class 6A Division II game. It's it's the rubber match between these two schools. Cedar Hill versus Katy. They're meeting for the 3rd time at AT&T Stadium. It's the 4 p.m. game on Saturday.
Yeah, the high-flying offense of Cedar Hill versus the run-heavy attack of Katy and Rodney Anderson, the Oklahoma commit. I think this is going to be exactly what we've seen the last 2 seasons. Who can get out in front? And who can if Katy, they got them out, they led last year, but they weren't able to stop DeMarcus Lodge, and I really think Lodge is the difference. I think he was a difference last year between 2012, and he'll probably be the difference again this year. Cedar Hill playing as well as anybody, and they know how to win these games. Katy does too. Katy is kind of the Aledo of the Houston area. But I think the way Cedar Hill's offense is clicking, I mean, I don't know how you stop them, even with the defense that Katy has had in recent years.
Mm-hmm. Katy has a tradition, 7 state championships. They've been in the state title game 12 times. They have 32 playoff appearances. Just great tradition there. I think it's interesting to look at the scores of these past 2 games that they played. In 2012, Katy 35 to Cedar Hill 24, and then in 2013, Cedar Hill 34 to Katy 24.
Yeah.
Are we going to see another one of those? It would be interesting to see another one of those games in the mid-30s, mid-20s, but I think this is a Cedar Hill team that's better than the 2 previous, if
really
that can be said, and I think this will be an even bigger offensive explosion by Cedar Hill in this one. They'll win that game. And then the other Class 6A, the Division I game, Allen versus Cypress Ranch. That's the nightcap, the 8 p.m. game at AT&T Stadium. Is Cypress Ranch even close to capable of stopping this Allen team that's just rolled through the playoffs?
I don't know. I mean, if DeSoto can't do it, if Martin can't do it, if Trinity and Skyline can't do it, and all 4 of those teams had a chance to beat Allen, and they found a way to win. Kyler Murray being the best player in the state, best player in the country, and really probably, I mean, if they win Saturday, which I think they will over Cypress Ranch, Murray will go down as probably. I think he has to be top 5 greatest Texas player of all time, and then I think even getting into the national conversation. That's how good he's been in the playoffs as far as carrying this team that has some questions defensively, like we've mentioned. But Cypress Ranch, they've earned their way here too. They've beaten Converse Judson, a perennial power out of the San Antonio area. And the Houston area, they may not have played the superpowers that Allen has, but that's a tough region to come out of. But I think this is Allen's game. This is their championship. This is their dynasty to continue at least one more year. I think they win on Saturday.
I think this is going to be almost kind of a victory lap kind of game for them. They went through just a murderer's row of teams throughout their playoff run, like you said, in DeSoto, Martin, Trinity, Skyline, just all 4 in a row. And Cy Ranch is just not nearly as battle tested as Allen is, and I think it's going to be a pretty easy game for them. To be honest, I'll have Allen win that. I mean, it is state. Cy Ranch will come to play and bring their best game, but I just don't think it's the kind of competition like Allen has faced. And Allen is one of the best teams with one of the best players that has Texas seen, and he might not even play football in college, and if he goes to pros. That's the other interesting aspect about that. But Allen, I believe, rolls in that game. All right, let's go no huddle through the rest of the state championship games. And Thursday, Class 2A Division II, Albany versus Bremont.
I'll go with Albany.
Albany. Well, I'll go with Bremont just because I just totally butchered their name. So there you go. Class 2A Division I. Canadian versus Mason.
I'll go with Canadian. Big win over Mart last week.
All right, I'll go with Canadian as well. Class 3A Division II, Waxham versus Newton.
I'll go with Wascom.
Wascom. I'm just really having trouble with these names this week.
I'm not sure. I'm not exactly 100%.
Yeah,
I'll go with them. They were featured in ESPN a few weeks ago. There you go.
I'll go with Wascom as well. Class 3A Division I, Mineola versus Cameron Yo.
Big win for Mineola in the semifinals, but I'm going to go with Cameron Yo. They've been there. They know how to win these state championship games.
Mineola, with a long-time tradition of football going, they had one of the region final was the farthest they'd gone, and one of the times they'd done that is back in the early 1920s. I'm going to go with Mineola.
Cool.
And we have, that was the 1934 through 35, 37, 39. Mineola had a little bit of a dynasty. And Friday, Class 4A Division II, Gilmer versus West Orange Stark.
Gilmer, one of the best teams in the state in any class, I think. I watched them last week. I think they'll beat a good West Orange Stark team that features Deontay Thompson, Alabama commit.
They'll continue that undefeated roll at 15-0 now. I'll take Gilmer. Class 4A Division I, Argyle versus Navasota.
Probably the most closely matched game of the weekend. I'm going to go with Navasota. They have an outstanding, record-setting quarterback wide receiver tandem.
I like Argyle and Nick Ralston, their running back. I'll take Argyle on that one. And Class 5A Division II, Ennis versus Cedar Park.
If you beat the best, which I think Timberview was the best in the regular season in 5A, and Ennis beat them in the second round, and they've rolled on. Big win over Canutillo last week. I think they beat a Cedar Park team that's pretty good, so it'll be a close game, but Ennis will win.
Similar to Allen, they've gone through kind of a murderer's row through their playoff run, and I think they're definitely more battle-tested coming this game. I'll take Ennis as well. Hey, head out to AT&T Stadium, see some of these great games. There's nothing like seeing 45,000 people packing a stadium to watch those 6A high school football games. It's something to brag about if you're Texan. So go check out those games. Check DFWVarsity.com for the best recaps and stats of those games. And we'll see you next week from Cowboy Stadium for the final high school huddle.